Now to the government schools that are finding their own way to make ends meet. Last week's Gonski report found an extra $5 billion must be spent across the country, mostly on public schools. But nearly half of Victoria's high school students go to private schools, as Cheryl Hall reports.
For the past 11 years, Martin CULKIN has been creating a super school in one of Victoria's most disadvantaged areas. 3 schools have been merged at Dandenong to form a community of more than 2,000 students. 77 languages are spoken by these students. A third of them are refugees.
I know 100% more than I knew when I came here in 2000. I know things about a very interesting community that struggles at times and thrives at times. I know about small and large schools. I've had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work in this environment and I've relished it.
Martin CULKIN has had the freedom not normally associated with government-run schools, and he's come up with a unique model, a system of 7 open space learning centres that are essentially smaller schools within the school. But he's leaving halfway through the 4-stage project, retiring at the end of this term.
You live in a world of uncertainty in a sense. Well, will it get finished? Things tend to drag out. I'd be probably 85 by the time we finished.
Well, I didn't realise Martin was 83 years old, and he's not prepared to wait till 85 to see the project through, but I can say that because I know him. Look, in a perfect world, it'd be great to fund major projects all in one year.
Many of the other local schools are in the same situation. And
it's a similar situation at Ringwood, where 7 schools have formed the Maroondah Education Coalition.
We basically came together as a group of principals some years ago and said we've got to do something about making sure that the future for young people in this area is assured, and we want our schools to actually be schools of choice.
The previous Brumby government promised $100 million to regenerate the 7 Maroondah schools. They're still waiting for the same commitment from the Baillieu government. Regardless of that, 2 of the schools, Croydon and Maroondah, bit the bullet and decided to merge at the start of this year without any new funds.
Oh, it's a little leap of faith, I guess, in terms of this. We've done a lot of work as part of the Maroondah Education Coalition, and we've got great ideas around new buildings and sharing of provision.
It means the 2 schools can now offer their VCE students more specialist subjects, even if it means busing students between the 2 campuses. Education Minister Martin DIXON is encouraging but not committing.
I like the Maroondah, the whole project they've come up with. I think is a great plan that will best suit them and hasn't been imposed on them by government.
Result of the independent variable.
The mergers are one way of closing the gap between government and private schools.
We've got an issue in our schools where you look at the VCE level, 40 to 50% of students are government and the same private. We actually need to do something about that because we don't want to have a residual public education system. We want public schools to be schools of choice.
The state government is considering privately building government schools as a public-private partnership. Cranbourne East Secondary College is one of 2 Victorian high schools built by private companies.
This is great. We've moved into a brand new, fully equipped, fully furnished, fully complete school, and it's just beautiful.
Barry Wiggs was Deputy Principal at Dandenong High 2 years ago, before becoming Principal here. The purpose-built learning centres are similar to those at Dandenong, but he's had none of the battles for funding that he had there.
I'm a bit of a convert now. If this is how schools can be built in the future and have this sort of quality, and it leaves me and all the other teachers at the school to do teaching and learning.
It's a stark contrast to Ringwood Secondary College's 46 demountables. Principal Michael Phillips says his school and the other 6 in the Maroondah Education Coalition would welcome a PPP.
It means that all of the schools get rebuilt at the same time and in a relatively short period of time. Our communities deserve a degree of certainty.
PPPs are certainly on the table. They obviously have to be proven value to the taxpayer.
The The Gonski report has recommended an extra $5 billion be put mainly into government schools. But Victoria says it won't agree if private schools are disadvantaged.
Obviously, the implications of higher fees is a real issue for families who many are sacrificing for the sake of the choice they want to make. Any drift back to government schools is a cost to the Victorian taxpayer.
But for government schools in Melbourne's eastern suburbs, that money is crucial for providing an alternative to the private sector.
We know that we do have a lot of competition there, and I guess part of what we're doing here, and when and if we get funding for a new school, it's about being a strong, viable government school in the area.
Despite the prospect of more money for education, Dandenong's retiring principal warns against waiting for a financial windfall.
The bottom line issue, though, is there's never enough money in education. And, I've had a very long career and I've always wondered why that was so. The issue is not just about money, it's about how you structure education, how you develop a curriculum. And there have been plenty of programs over the years to which money has been thrown, and they've often had marginal success.
Martin CULKIN says he's seen amazing improvements in teaching performance and morale. And that's resulted in success for his students, especially those from Afghanistan.
To see young kids go from arriving in pretty tough circumstances often and living in tough conditions, work their way through to becoming a school captain is a remarkable story. And that's happened 3 times in the last 10 years. I can only but wonder what it does for those communities.